So, welcome to another little base walkthrough now that I'm finally done with the game and produced my soul. So this will be a little walkthrough of my base. Some of you might have seen my shop before, but now I have an additional building over here and an additional tower. So I'll give some building tips probably towards the end, but hopefully this will be useful for inspiration. So this is my shop. We have low-end items on this side. Everything's being fed from the back. Some pixel art on the wall. Nice big open shop. More fancy items over here with gemstones and such. And we have self-checkout on both sides. So yeah, you can use emojis, by the way. On the boards, just press, if you're on Windows, then it's Windows and dot for period, or dot, I don't know, to get the emoji keyboard from Windows, and you can input most emojis just fine. Right, and yeah, so this is my shop. So this is the first building I made. So on the second floor here, I'm making a couple of the relics. This is where the soul is being slowly made. And I do have some small production things in the hallway here, mostly just to feed the shop. Here I'm making the crowns. And over here I'm making some black powder, feeding classic black powder cauldron just to feed the shop. So that's gelatinous gridlock times 2 and copper coin, just merging into one input there. Nice and stable. So yeah, the first building is all my older production. So here you can see wooden pulleys and linen and stuff like that. And my bricks, glass and iron. And eventually this is coke powder, so then we have some steel over here. Turn off the interface, don't need that. Bunch of belts, because the shop is in this building, so we get a lot of belts coming from neighbor buildings. And we have the top floor, kinda. Some ugly stuff here, I don't want to show anyone. Sulfuric acid. That's for the relics you saw downstairs. Here is my old soap production. And my original plants. And old fertilizer setup. There's also, some stones here being ground into sand for using downstairs. I have a little attic up here, which is nothing pretty, just some additional production that I need to hide somewhere. Could fit something more up here if I wanted to. And yeah, as you can see, I'm shooting things between the buildings using cannons. But let's walk over to my second building through here. So this just is a little walkway across the street with some decorations. And here is my regular diamond production. And over there we have growth potions. So similar kind of grinder walls set up. You can do this a lot more compact if you wish, but yeah, this was originally producing sand, but then I shortened it. This is where I'm making my little gold and gemstones in some cauldrons and a tree for decoration. This is the growth potion setup, quite nice. I am a bit annoyed at the what's the shortcut? Damn it, the upgrade system. Since as I upgraded my alchemy skill, this became quite unbalanced. Because then it didn't need all the salt, and then I didn't have enough sand for the clay production, which was a bit of a pain to realize too late. Over here is some black powder being created in here. And what is this? This is steel. So there's a bunch of steel production inside this block. And some fertile catalyst. There's an upstairs, but for that, let's just jump up here, have a little look at some potions. Look out, and up here we have Mars production, dedicated room, everything feeding into that to produce Mars at full capacity. I only have one of each of these buildings in my shop. Don't really need anything else. And this is where I'm making all the copper for that. I figured it was actually quite nice with a skylight like this. This is where all the soap comes in from my neighbor building. Yeah, some other stuff. Overly complicated doorway. And this is where the soap is arriving from the corner plot, where I'm doing something completely unnecessary, and that is using the extractor thing set to 100% at the top on flax, which isn't really economical, I think. And yeah, remember you can use emojis. So pipe stairs. Pipes can be used for a lot of creative stuff in this game, so use them. They're just really annoying to blueprint, since they sort of offset a bit according to the sort of highlighted blueprint thing you see. And yeah, this is a little room with some plants. Up here is where things are actually shooting across. So yeah, here is the actual soap being produced. Oh, come on. And this is where I'm making the flax. Little hovering building inside the building here, just because I can. Whoops. And the top floor, which I'm quite happy about. There's even leftover room if I wanted to process some more, but with the upgrade, the alchemy skill, this is just way overkill. You can see my other tower from here. Whee! Alright, let's walk over to the other building. My new fancy building. We have more of these floating platforms. You know what, if you want to learn how to make those, it's quite easy. Unless they fix it in the upcoming patch. Whenever you build some floors, or anything else for that matter, when you delete it, don't delete the inner one. Select the outer one, then the inner one. Deselect the outer one. You can delete that, and you have a floating piece of floor. And you can actually attach a new floor to that. Delete the old one. Attach a new one. Delete the old one and move it around. Maybe attach a wall to it or something. And you can make floating platforms. If you want more than two pieces connected, it gets a bit fiddly, but it's possible eventually. Which I find is nice. Instead of building across here, I can just have these weird things. It's magic. So yeah, welcome to the reception area. A little workbench. And down here I am making the lapis, yeah. And over here is just a bunch of soap for the lapis production mainly. And we have a lot of gentian nectar going up for other gemstones. And into this, which is kind of the throne room, I guess. Except there is no throne, just a giant sun on the end. A floating sphere. So this is the main room of, or hall, I guess, of the new building. A few trees in the middle, with one in and output here, so they're connected. And the belts pass underneath the trees. So this is the Panacea production in here. I have 2 advanced blenders here, and eventually I had to create a third blender upstairs, and I went to upgrade fertilizer efficiency like crazy because I didn't want to expand this anymore. And when I put the little forest upstairs, I really ran out of fertilizer. Moon tear is expensive, and I'm making way too much of it. Second floor, which is kind of the last thing I built. That's why you have overly complicated hanging belts from the ceiling. Probably wondering how I made those. And this little wall is quite thin. You can actually walk at the back here and see it's actually a bunch of stone crushers. This little wall segment is 88 stone crushers, I think, with refiners, so the output is just polished crystal. So 88 of them in here. That's like the entire, that's larger than the huge wall you saw in the previous building. Extremely compact, so you have 4 levels on top of each other, all the way up to the ceiling in here. But yeah, if you want to make floating bits, here's the trick. Build something that it's easy to quickly remove. Build your thing so that you can easily place it on top of that. Now, the problem normally is if you delete something, it also selects everything placed on top of it. There's no weight or anything like that, it just checks is there anything on top, and it gets selected. While you're saving the game temporarily freezes, especially if you have a slow computer or a large base. So late game like this, very easy. I save. I quickly move this on top. Wait. Sorry, I misclicked. Can't speak at the same time. I save. I put this on top and select this for deletion. And there you see now it got built, but it's already done the check about what's on top when selecting it for deletion. So now I can safely delete this, and this remains. And I can keep building on top of this if I want. So this way you can make floating stuff quite inconveniently. Like this belt, which took like 10 minutes to drag out. So yes, here we have various things, precursors for the soul production, I think. Yeah, this is the copper and bronze. Here's a little contraption to make sure I choke the belt, because I have some cauldrons in here. And if these produce too much, if these produce at full capacity, the cauldrons run out. So I have to ensure, no matter what happens down here, if I pick a bunch of stuff off this belt for some reason, I have to make sure this does not empty. So my belt speed is 180, and then I cut it in half to 90, and then I cut it a half again to 45. So as you see, once every 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So yeah, every 4th item that passes is one of the metals. So this cuts my belt speed down to a quarter, which ends up as 22.5 of each of these, which is exactly what I need downstream. So it works perfectly, at least at my current belt speed. And here's the floating sphere. Looks kind of neat. And you have some giant cauldron towers up there for stardust, which is a horrible thing that you run into late game when you want to make your soul. Alright. There's also a little thing here that I ended up not needing, but I kept it in here just to show people. If you're feeding a cauldron and you know that one of the things that will come, you don't have enough of it. Maybe your cauldron needs, let's say, 3 world tree cores per minute, and you know you have only 1 tree, so you have like 0.6. You can build one of these belt balancer things. Here's a flat version, which is easy to see. Build it in here where there's better lighting. Oh yeah, this is where I make the gemstones and my mercury, is that what it is? Yeah. Just hiding my elevator behind color-coded boxes. Nice kind of clean room. And a little jump pad up. We'll go there soon. If I fill this box with some junk, let's say wood, because that's what I set this filter up for, this will now saturate the belt in a loop. And it needs this little buffer to ensure the belt is always full. Now there is a priority merger here. There's actually 3 inputs, yellow, pink, and cyan. Let's say I want steel ingots on one belt, I want gold on another. But you can see they're not priority, so they don't feed in. They will output here. These 3 could go into a cauldron, the 3 inputs on the cauldron. But they're waiting for the last input. Now if I put 1 world tree core into this one, it filters out, then you have an empty spot on the belt, which moves along quite quickly, so it was hard to see. But let's do 3 of these. Then you get empty spots on the belt, which then fills up with these items waiting. So you get 4 of this, 4 of this, and you get 4 items in here as well. So you get equal amounts of items on each belt. So it can help with the cauldrons. I'm sure someone has already made more advanced versions of this. Let's jump upstairs. Here you can see the 3 towers making the stardust. It has now slowed down since these are full. But yeah. There are a bunch of trees here feeding this, so it can run at full speed if for some reason someone were to delete a gazillion gold worth of moon tier. Like if I delete a piece of pipe or something, then the game likes to trash half the content in the pipe system. So yeah, here's the Luna. Not so fancy setup for this one. It's feeding metals from all over the base. 2 little rooms here where I can control the gold density on my belts. Little connection room in here as well. Don't look at the spaghetti. What's over here? Not much. There's not much left now. Oh, sorry, I have some USB issues with my mouse. There we go. So here we're producing silver and fairy dust. This was, as you can tell, right after they launched the update with the new beams, so I kind of overused them. But it's really condensed in here. There's a cauldron making silver in here, and blast furnace there. So I'll have a little window so I can control it. There's also plants to feed these. These little cute setups are for the brandy. That's for my panacea potions. Yeah, because my little extra panacea potion production is over there, just hiding up there to fill the belts for these trees, because they were eating too much. And for the fairy tear things, that's up here in the tower. So this tower is mostly just held up by this column and the side walls, but these walls up here, I had to build a sort of floating walls, do the little deletion trick to get them to stay up, because there's actually nothing below this column. If you look down here, there's actually nothing on the floor below. So this entire tower is kind of floating a bit. But it worked in the end. Had to fight it for a while. Yes, nothing special up here. It's kind of a repeat of what you saw earlier. Except it's quite empty. Just these three. Which are like way overkill again. I could probably delete one or two of those after I upgraded my alchemy skill. I think I'll take the shortcut down. And yeah, that is my base after I'm done with the game. Hopefully a couple of tips, like pipes in the windows, or I don't know, fancy stairs made of beams and these intersections. So then I think it is time for me to retire and play something else.